First, we greet you in the way that we normally greet people in our part of the world, which is greetings of peace. So, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Buenos dias, El Salvador. Buenos dias, our Japan. Buenos dias, San Salvador. Buenos dias, Concepción de Ataco. Buenos dias, Guatemala y Honduras. Buenos dias, Costa Rica, pura vida. Roberto, good to see you. Buenos dias, wonderful, wonderful people producing wonderful, wonderful crops that we, as part of our journey, enjoy on a day-to-day basis. Mi nombre es Osamah Alawam, el café tostado in Saudi Arabia, Arabia Saudita,
My name is Yousef Alzayer. I'm a green coffee buyer based in Saudi Arabia. I'm an importer, technically, and I just import from producers. I sell to roasters in Saudi.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, we would like this session to be essentially a warm session where we talk to you about our part of the world, what we do in Saudi Arabia and how we drink coffee. Many of you know Arabica as the finest grade of coffee. Arabica is named after the Arabian Peninsula, where this fine crop and luxurious piece of art essentially started from and made its way throughout the Silk Road, all the way from Asia to the Middle East. In Saudi Arabia, we grow coffee as well, in Yemen, and to your parts of the world, through Africa as well. And so this is a significant part of our journey. We will go through some aspects regarding Saudi coffee and what we mean about Saudi Arabian coffee. In the year 2022, the Ministry of Culture named 2022 as the year of Saudi coffee. This is due to its significant importance in our culture. Saudi coffee is brewed completely differently, is roasted completely differently to what you normally do with black coffee or pour over as well. When I went to Ethiopia, I saw they have a ceremony called bunna. Bunna. The bunna ceremony is where the females would gather, they would roast coffee on the spot, on fire, and they would crush it using a pestle and mortar, and they would brew it using a jebene, what's known as a jebene. And that ceremony is enjoyed every single day by the females. In Saudi Arabia, that ceremony is also enjoyed, but in a different aspect. It's in an area called al-majlis or al-gahwa. Gahwa, from kava, from coffee. Al-gahwa or al-majlis is where we host our guests and brew the best coffee for them, roast it for them immediately and serve it in this way. By the way, we don't live in the desert. This is just a picture for you to get an understanding of what Saudi coffee essentially is all about. Many pots are used to brew, and each pot has its own name. Each pot has a purpose as well. And so this ceremony is quite important to us. But you know why? Because it's coffee that stems from the region. It's grown in Yemen, it's grown in Saudi, it's also grown in Ethiopia as well, where coffee made its way through this journey. But we never use Central American coffee. We never use coffee from Guatemala to make Saudi coffee. Why? Because the taste and also the culture, for over almost thousands of years, coffee has been brewed that way and from these regions only. So it is of importance for you to understand as producers why we prefer this coffee. It's a very light roast. Before first crack, it's nutty, but it's also different in flavor, in roast color, in profile from different parts. So in the south, it's a very light roast. In the up north, it's a dark roast post first crack. In the north, they might use some Colombian coffee, but strictly Ethiopian or Yemen coffee as well. We also spice it with cardamom. Con cardamom, the spice also elevates the flavor, but I also think it adds to that welcoming aspect. Cardamom is very expensive. Masari, very expensive, right? So it's a part of showing your guest by brewing expensive coffee, expensive spices like cardamom is saffron and saffron as well. So it's a warm gesture to your guests. However, specialty coffee took a turn, and that turn has started with the young guys returning from America, returning from Europe, who have been our fathers, who have been taught abroad. They came back with their Folgers coffee and Dunkin' Donuts coffee and started to bring these different tastes with them?
So, if it's not clear, please let us know. So what happened in the Saudi market, the coffee started from, as my friend Osamah mentioned, the traditional classic Arabic coffee with the spices. It's still there, we still drink it, it's our main drink, coffee and tea. Slowly after the years of people going studying abroad, my parents' generation, black coffee culture has started. It was influenced with bigger name brands such as Starbucks, Dunkin' Donut, and it became a lifestyle. I walk with a cup of coffee. That's when the black coffee started. Slowly throughout the years, the specialty market was introduced in Saudi Arabia specifically, and then all people start developing a palate, moving from the classic notes of coffee to the like excitement cups, the excited cup. Like there's some excitement, floral, fruity, and they start going toward more and more specialty coffee. The market started about 12 years ago with few coffee shops. Roasteries started after that, and that's how we jumped into specialty market.
It's amazing. You see, we've witnessed this trend over the past 10 years. So I started the roasting house about 10 years ago. And before I start, I thought I would do a survey. And in that survey, I asked what people most enjoyed, whether it's Arabic coffee or espresso or Turkish or Western style pour over coffee. This is in 2012 approximately. And I wanted to compete with big names like franchise names, like global names like Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and existing Saudi companies that have been there for many years. I started with a very small shop, but a very big dream. And that dream is to spread your message, spread specialty coffee culture in our part of the world. Make people enjoy what I enjoyed on a daily basis. At night, I would wake up, cannot wait in the morning to have my cup of coffee. So I wanted to share that. And I wanted to share your stories as well. And this is when I decided to start. So 73% of people who I surveyed, 73%, said that your business will not succeed. Why? Because we wanted to compete with a slightly higher price. We wanted to give them a cup of coffee that's brewed freshly and roasted freshly. But people enjoyed Saudi coffee or Arabic coffee more at the time. So it was a challenge. But as my friend Yousef here said, the palates have started to elevate as a result. This is in my house. This is with me and my wife drinking coffee in the holy month of Ramadan. So coffee is traditionally enjoyed as part of a cultural purpose, but also as part of a daily routine. Even I, a specialty coffee roaster with experience of about 20 years, I still enjoy this Arabic and Saudi coffee. And so this is a very big chunk of our consumption on a day-to-day basis. The number one country that exports coffee to Saudi Arabia is, does anybody know?
You can see it in yellow.
Can anybody see from here?
It starts with an E.
It starts with an E. And Cartier has developed several varieties in there from Costa Rica. Ethiopia. Half of the $327 million US in 2020 is going to Ethiopia. How much is going to El Salvador? 2.5%. Exactly, well done. You have binocular eyes. Well done. So 2.5% of that is going from El Salvador. Then comes Brazil. I need the bigger eyes as well. So Brazil, 4.55%, and then Yemen coffee. And so Ethiopia and Yemen and Brazil take the largest chunk of that. Brazil being for espresso blenders and also used for Arabic coffee as well. I'm excited to see the numbers for 2022, 2023. And I here have my friend Mustafa yesterday. He did a presentation and we saw some of the numbers as well being very close to these in 2022 and hopefully 2023. And this is your chance as well to join the importers, the roasters in Saudi Arabia, to meet with them. And a big thanks for sure to the wonderful people at PRF and PDG, Perfect Daily Grind, for hosting us and having us here, and of course our friends at Unex for taking us through the farms over the past couple of days,
It was great.
which we have enjoyed.
Oh, we had amazing time. Unex did an amazing job. PRF did a phenomenal job hosting us, organizing this whole thing. It was wonderful.
It's amazing.
So to mention something about a point that my friend Osamah mentioned when he said Mustafa showed some numbers of the Middle Eastern market. A lot of what's imported in Middle Eastern countries get exported to Saudi. So, for example, Dubai has a hub for shipping companies to land their containers, and then it got exported back to, it gets exported to Saudi. So Saudi, past few years, became the hot spot for development, industrial, tourism, coffee. We have a population of about 36 million people.
Yeah, about 37
36 million, yeah. And the majority drink coffee. Specialty, not so much, but it's getting there.
Yeah. I jumped a slide there and I don't know how to go back, so I apologize for this. But just in case, that slide was talking about how to connect with people. I think this is one of the most important slides that you need to know. Yousef and I, we had several discussions over the past few weeks preparing for this presentation to make sure that you go away with some really valuable information. And that's very important in our part of the world. When I meet somebody I know, I say, or a business or a friend or a relative, a business contact, I would say, come and have a coffee and come, let's sit down over a coffee. We don't talk about business straight away. Is that right?
So, yeah, very right. So let's get in depth in the culture aspect of the business. Saudis, we're like the Central American people. Friendly, informal, we have to like you before we welcome you. Right? I said that right. So for me, for example, we'll use ourselves as examples. You come up to us, you don't say, hi, I have coffees, try them, let me know. No. We're not gonna buy. We'll have to come, talk to you, have few jokes, connect, talk more. Maybe that relationship will transfer into business. We're very slow, so we're not people who can make decisions on the spot. Yes, we're buying, that's it. What usually happens, we connect through WhatsApp. That's, I will emphasize that. We're not email people. We do not email very well. We like the conversations to be so informal and flexible. We'll talk to you, we'll connect with you. Maybe you'll be invited to our country and it's like, yeah, come on over. If we say that, that means we really like you. So there is a bigger chance that relationship will transfer into a business relationship.
Amazing.
Then the coffee talks will start. Even if we spend few days with you, probably the conversation of business will start the last 20 minutes of the last day. Just like, hey, yeah, I think I like your coffees. Can you please send me samples and we'll discuss it more when I go back. That's it. If we start a conversation business, the first 10 minutes, that means we don't really like you, we don't feel comfortable. We have to feel comfortable. We don't really trust quickly. So if we see something that's fishy, we don't really appreciate, we get defensive, we step back, we become very short, and instead of opening up, we come, yeah, I don't like it, period. Yeah, I like it. If we give you short answers, that means we don't feel comfortable. We don't feel connected with you. That's the most important. What happens when we go to conferences, I'll tell that for the producers to know. We come, hi, I have your coffee. Yes, this is my coffee, please take it, try it, let me know, this is my business card. I walk away, I don't want a business deal. For example, Carlos and Gerando, our friends here, great job. They came, they welcomed us, they never talked business. What happens? We warm up to them, we speak more, then possibly a relationship could happen. So that's a very important thing. I see a lot of people maybe not aware of the culture. When we go to events like around the world, they just go direct sell. No. We like the soft approach, not the hard approach.
Yeah, an introductory approach as well. So one of the things that we seek as roasters is what you do in terms of community work, sustainability, as well as quality, but also the processing. The processing is quite important to us. So I would suggest you talk to the roaster before you send them samples or offer them samples. You might give me 10 samples of washed coffees, but washed coffees don't move as fast as naturals in Saudi Arabia. And naturals are also now seeing a trend towards anaerobic fermentation, towards all this carbonic maceration, all the different processing methods. So talk to your roaster before. And most roasters or importers would be happy to discuss options as well. So experimental lots, all these things before you go ahead and give them the samples for sure. So it's all about building that rapport, building that relationship, which is, again, this is part of the coffee community globally. It's a community of relationships. Our friends here, the Mendez family, invited us in El Salvador last year, and we came, and we do business with them. But when we came, we saw what they do, and we were able to get more information. There is a lot of hard work that we put in as well as importers and roasters.
Oh, yeah.
We have to know as much about what you do as possible. To be fair to your products, every single brand of coffee that we launch, every single coffee. So, for instance, from our friends in Mendez, we have Pacamara, we have Kenya, and we have Cuscatleco. Every one of those, we have to have a different brand, a look and feel, inspired by your farm, inspired by a monument in your farm or a story. For instance, one of the coffees we launched is inspired by a lovely parrot in that farm that is as part of an aviary. So the farmer are spending time to take care of abandoned pets, abandoned parrots, and we love to tell those stories. And our community love to tell these stories to see it's not just great coffee they enjoy, they also do good for the environment as well.
So to carry off after at that point, he said, we love to share your story. There are two producers, two importer types in Saudi. Large one, who cares about price and quantity. Does not care about your story, does not care about how much you pay your employee, does not care about that. He's a pure businessman, that's his approach. They go after volume and great prices. But what will happen, he will drop you for another cheaper coffee. And then you have the people who do medium-sized trading, and they are the people you may want to go after because they will care about your product, they will care about your team, they will care about your story, and they will make sure to pass your hard work to the roaster. Because what usually happens, in general, the producer takes a pride of his work and goes, I've done this, I've done that. Guess what happened? A lot of people don't transfer that to the roaster. The roaster doesn't know who the producer is. And that's because they usually buy for larger companies who don't have the time to, as Osamah said, put the effort to promote each certain coffee with the right effort to mention your name.
Sure. And also, sorry, go ahead.
No, so the producer has to pick the right partner. Because do you want your story to be shared or not? If you pick the right partner, as Osamah said, we like washed. We don't like washed as much. We like naturals. How would you know that if you're all the way in El Salvador and we're all the way in Saudi and we don't have a connection? You will produce coffees hoping that it will sell in the market, but you might waste your time and effort.
Amazing. And by the way, we grow coffee. Not a lot. Not enough to compete with you, Roberto, Costa Rica. This is me, by the way, in one of the farms in Saudi. So we started to grow specialty coffee. We've been growing coffee since inception, or since discovery of coffee as well. But nowadays, farmers in Saudi are also paying more attention towards the quality, the cup quality that is required as well. So engage with the farmers. The only way they started is by attending the fairs that we had in Saudi. They met with the roasters. They said, what do you want? What do you taste? And we launched a program where we give them some roasters in their farms so they can try, small B-more roasters, so they can try roasting the coffee and seeing the palate that we're after. And the farmer needs to be persistent in terms of, searching for that sort of story. I know a barista who has competed for 9 years before they won in the 10th year. Dale Harris, he just passed by here. I saw him maybe. Yeah. Greetings to Dale Harris, he's at the back there. He's so persistent. So be persistent as Dale. 9 years competing. Talk to your talk to your importers, to your roasters, to know what it is that they are after. emphasize things like the quality, what you've done to ensure quality and consistency. It takes 45 days, 30 to 45 days, sometimes even longer, for coffee to reach to our part of the world. Make sure that your coffee stays fresher for longer. Talk to producers of bags, lining bags inside it. Make sure that your buyer also has these to protect your own coffee, because it's not necessarily that the buyer will think about this. Greetings to my friend Henry here. I was just saying a big thank you to PRF and PDG for hosting us once again and gathering us. And this is one of the best places to meet with producers globally. So talk to your buyers about lining. Talk to your buyers about how to preserve the quality and the freshness of your coffee. And come and visit us. We're always open for visitors to come and see us and see how we can work together and attend one of the trade shows and fairs. And
I think one of the key entries to the Saudi market is come and visit, come and see. We are very interesting culture because we're huge. So we have north is different than the south, different than the east, different than the west, different than the central. So I'm from the east. I'm a coast guy. He's from the central province of Riyadh. He's a desert guy, for example, like geographically. So two different things. We're very humid. They're very dry. So coming into Saudi, you'll understand more the culture. People will appreciate you. I believe that if the producer comes in, put an effort to host, through one of his partners in Saudi to host a cupping, you will be able to sell your story much better than we do, obviously. Because, for example, as an importer, let's look at it this way. You have few coffees to sell. We import different coffees. So I have to put an equal effort to everyone. But I always say this, for a Brazilian producer, for a Costa Rican, for a Salvadorian, come in, bring your coffees, have a partner in Saudi so he can take care of all your paperwork, and present your coffees. People will love that. People will feel more associated. I noticed when roasters in Saudi know the producer, oh my God, it's a different sale. Yeah. They buy because they like you. They don't necessarily like your coffee as much, but they like you as a person. They will buy your coffee because they believe you can make it better. They believe you're flexible. Flexibility is very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As a Saudi market, you probably know, because when did you start roasting house?
2013.
How did the tasting palette go?
Changed. So we bought coffees in 2014 and 15 that people loved so much. And we continued to buy them year after year, but we saw a decline in that specific coffee because the taste has changed. So that coffee was classic, bitter, no flavors, no acidity, just really strong, solid coffee. And after those many years, people started to change those palates. So be flexible as well in talking to your buyer. Be flexible as well in the way of communication. As Henry knows, Henry sends several emails, and sometimes he might not get a response on those emails. So talk to your, what is the best communication method? Is it WhatsApp?
Should we ask Henry?
Should we ask Henry?
Henry, does he respond quickly to his emails?
WhatsApp. There you go. It's all about knowing how to communicate with your customers.
So, flexibility is important. Maybe the requirement in Saudi are not as easy as other countries. Some people get offended, like, why do you need this? No, it's fine. I tell my friend a joke. If we want a roasted chicken in the container, bring that roasted chicken in the container. That's how it's gonna go in.
Amazing. In conclusion, Saudi coffee has been a significant part of our culture, and I think it will continue to be a significant part of our culture. In the year 2023, Ministry of Culture has launched that year, or named that year, as Year of Arabic Poetry. And poetry, as well as coffee, as well as generosity, and that community and culture and generosity and hospitality is a significant part of our culture. So my idea to you, or my suggestion to you, is see a way how you can fit your products, how you can fit your coffee within that culture. Test it for Arabic coffee, test it for Saudi coffee, and see how this can produce something really, really good for you.
For the conclusion, I have few tips for you. So, a lot of producers use Instagram to reach out to people in Saudi. Don't do the mistake, say, hey, I'm Yousef, I produce 85 plus coffees, do you want to try them? No. You probably want to say, hi, I'm Yousef, I am a coffee producer from El Salvador, and I would love to get in a call with you to discuss my coffees. If I get on a call, maybe video call, I see you, I listen to you, oh, there's a different approach I'm gonna look at. He's a real guy, he's a real producer. Then I probably will ask for samples. Do not go direct approach, all right? Find a partner who will share your story, who has the connection, who knows the culture, who will tell you how it is in the market without sugarcoating things for you to develop. A key point, we've seen some different origin producer do, they try to sell to everyone in the market. We don't like that because I want to be unique. If you're gonna sell to me, to the roaster, to another supplier, how am I gonna be unique? How are you gonna get the right information about your coffee? So maybe it's a good idea to find 1, 2 people at max to sell to and have a good relationship with them. That way you can grow into the Saudi market.
Fantastic. Any questions for us today? Before we conclude, any questions? We have a question there from Colombia.
Alan
I'm coming.
Brazil.
Alan from Brazil. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I just had one of your comments on your data because I noticed you import coffee from US and Italy. So that refers to roasted coffee. Is that still big? Question 1. And second, in your exports, there is a few other countries in the region. Kuwait is the biggest one. Is that a big trend also in the region that some coffees from Saudi go to other countries?
All right.
So that's a very good question, yes. So the reason why we import a lot of coffee from the States is not only roasted and ground coffee or instant coffee, is also through consolidators, exporters in the US, who import coffee from El Salvador, Colombia, Brazil, and just store it, and then they target roasters in those parts of the world.
I will add something. So we import from those countries roasted. Let's not forget, instant coffee is still big.
Yes.
You know, supermarket coffees are still big. So that's a lot being Dunkin', Starbucks, all of those coffees probably imported from the US, so that goes on the graph. For exporting, yes. So for smaller countries in the region who don't really have green buyers, we will have to export to them. So Saudi, since it has the most strict FDA rules, any coffee that goes into Saudi, it could be exported easily, but not the opposite. So coffees that go into Dubai, Kuwait, maybe they won't be going into Saudi easily just because it's different rules, we're more strict. So yeah, exporting is gonna grow into the region because Saudi is the main hub now.
That's absolutely right. And so we live in Saudi Arabia. Imagine this as Saudi Arabia, a box here. Yes, so this is Saudi Arabia. If we import coffee into the eastern side, near where Qatar and UAE is.
Here is Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, Oman.
So if we import coffee to reach a port on the eastern side, say from Brazil, versus importing it from the western side in Jeddah, coffee will come through the Suez Channel, and it will take us about 40 days. 35, 37, 40 days. But if it goes from the other side, 55 or 60 days.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And so this is why sometimes coffee would pass through Jeddah and just go by road. And then to Riyadh or by train to the other side as well. And this is why we also export to UAE. We produce as well and export to UAE. The Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia also launched a company targeting to help this sort of growing market into producing as well as exporting, not just Saudi coffee, but also coffee from all over the world, through setting standards, through setting an academy. So I encourage you to come because this is a significant part of the world. It's wonderful to be in coffee in this time of the world.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Or do you want to add something?
Oh.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation to make the market in Saudi more clear for us. My question is for both of you because you continue each other as importer and roaster.
Thank you.
The Arabic coffee is traditional in your country.
Yes.
So how you get the specialty coffee increase in your market?
Significantly.
So a big increase.
How you do this? How do you plan for this?
So let's say we studied abroad. Okay, we're the newer generation. Holding a black coffee and walking in the office shows us a culture. You're productive, you're hard worker. It's just psychological. Because of that, we also have a lot of people from the US and UK. We have Venezuela because it's oil working with us. And that they brought that culture with them. So we saw a lot of Americans drinking black coffee, for example. We started going toward that. That's how we got into the specialty coffee, and that's how we grew more.
Amazing. Any other questions?
One tip I forgot, producers, please teach us as importers the things that we should know. Don't expect that we know it. That's something I forgot to say, because sometimes you say, oh, it's fermented for 24 hours. Some people don't know what fermentation means. So breaking down the information helps. I just forgot this tip for producers to know, because we're only 12 years old. So we're gonna go through a lot of shakeups. We're gonna go through a lot of learning process and development.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Any other questions? There's a question there.
Over.
If there was one trade show that I should go to try to enter the Middle Eastern market.
Sorry, can you raise your
we
voice,
cannot
please?
hear.
Raise my voice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
If there was one trade show that I should try to go to enter the Middle Eastern market, what trade show would that be?
In Saudi?
And in Saudi or
In
in
the
the Middle
region.
East, there's the Dubai Coffee Festival, there's the Gulf Food Festival.
Yes.
Which, if you had to choose one trade show to go to, which would be the best to find importers, traders, coffee?
Well, that's a very good question, because we were just talking about in the car. We still don't have a really solid show for producers yet.
Yes.
We have multiple, but they're focused in a lot of aspects. So I would say, maybe Osamah could correct me, try to attend anything in the Middle East, because we don't really have one solid producer show yet.
Okay. But
the producers don't yet have a show yet. Henry, yet. Producers don't yet have a show in Saudi Arabia. So that's a hint for PDG maybe, and Producer Forum. But one of the key events that we participate in, for instance, at the Roasting House, is the Coffee and Chocolate Exhibition in Riyadh.
Yeah.
In December. This is an end of November, beginning of December. This is a significant show for us. It's bigger than the other events regionally. So you would meet a lot of roasters in there.
Yeah.
Plus get to see some of the retail side as well. Yep.
And most of the shows usually happen toward the end of the year for a reason, because the weather is nicer and people tend to buy more. If you come from May, June, July, August, maybe not May, but June, July, August, sales transactions tend to go less because the weather is so hot. So you will see every event in coffee moves toward the end of the year or early the year.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well,
Awesome.
Thank you, Yousef. I appreciate it.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for your information. He put down the presentation, so I'll thank him as well.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening. It was
Thank
an
you very
absolute
much.
pleasure. Thank you.